Thank you for joining us here at Lowry Sports Rhetoric. I am your host, Nathan.
I'm Damon.
And today we're going to get into the NFC East with Washington Commanders first.
Washington who?
Commanders.
Commanders. Well, that's a new one.
Yeah. In 2021, they went 7-10. They were third in the NFC East, and they did not make the playoffs. Their offensive stats were 21 in yards, 24 in points. Defensively, they were 22 in yards and 25 in points.
So the fact that they finished 7-10, being in the 20s on both offense and defense, kind of tells you how weak the East was last year.
Yeah, I can see that. Although I have to say that I feel like it's getting stronger. So we'll discuss that as we go through.
As we go through these teams, we'll find out.
I think that it is getting stronger. Okay, GM Martin Mayhew, 2021. That was 1 year he had as GM. What do you think about anything about that?
I mean, in 1 year, I think we'll talk about it as we go. They had a lot of injuries. I don't know what you can say about them. Like,
I guess we can discuss a little bit as we go.
Yeah, I think last year his moves were okay, but I don't know. It's hard to know because they had injuries. So
yeah.
So it's hard to know how good they actually are. And I think they're kind of. I mean, they just hired Rivera a couple years ago. They're in this transition period of switching more over to his. Like, he's a different kind of coach than what they had prior. So I think it's too early to tell. Let's say that. It's too early to tell at this point.
Okay. Coach Ron Rivera, 2 years he's been there. And I didn't even write his dang record down. Usually I do. But I like Ron Rivera. I think that he's an intelligent guy, and I like him as a coach.
I mean, former Chicago Bear. Can't go wrong there. I think, Rivera was up and down with Carolina. Like, there were times where I think there were times with Carolina where he outperformed the talent he had, and then there was times with Carolina where they underperformed the talent they had. So, I think he's a good coach. I don't know that he's a great coach. I would expect he's solid for sure. So,
All right, let's discuss free agent additions.
Okay.
We got Andrew Norwell, guard coming in from Jacksonville. Trial Turner, guard coming in from Pittsburgh. Ifa Obata, defensive end coming in from Buffalo. And Alex Erickson, wide receiver coming in from Carolina. This is one of the lowest amounts of additions out of any of the teams that I've seen, which I appreciate because that means that I don't have to talk about a bunch of them.
Well, I think it shows, too, that they're building through the draft.
Well, that's what I was kind of going to comment a little bit about the GM, is that I kind of feel like he does have that approach of, hey, let's pump the brakes on just spending, and let's try to build from the draft. I like that.
Well, I think we'll talk about it when we get to their roster. They've had a lot of draft recently,
Sure.
So they have a lot of young players,
Yeah.
and I think that that's part of makes it easier to not have to go out and do a whole bunch of free agent additions.
Absolutely. Free agent losses. Brandon Scherf, guard to Jacksonville. I do think that you're going to fill that a little bit.
Yeah.
Tim Settle, defensive tackle to Buffalo. Matthew Leonidas, defensive end to Carolina. Kyle Allen, quarterback to Houston.
Oh, that's
Huge loss. All right, Jamie Douglas, guard to the Giants. Kiki Seals Jones, tight end to the Giants. And then DeAndre Carter, wide receiver to the Chargers. Not a lot of loss there, other than
I don't see any big losses there. The guard maybe. I'm not sure how good their offensive line was. I think it's been the line has been an issue for them over the years, and it's still kind of an issue to them. So, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe that's a loss. Maybe it's not. Who knows?
All right, let's get into the trades. One trade. Affects me a little bit. Carson Wentz from Indy for a 23 third round, which turns into a second with 70% of the snaps, a 22nd second round, and a 22nd third round.
I'm gonna I don't. I feel like that's a good trade for you guys.
I do too.
I think okay, if Wentz is what Wentz was, we talked about this when you guys traded for him, and you had kind of a similar thing. It was conditional and all this kind of stuff. if Wentz is what Wentz was, then this is a good trade for the Commanders. The jury's out.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't really want him last year. I'm not sure that he fits what we were doing there, kind of. I personally felt like he played better than I would have thought that he did. He had low end turnovers. I think the biggest thing that I saw with Wentz was that his turnovers were during the wrong times. So it was, not a lot of them, but just the moments which he caused them to turn over were big plays that affected us greatly and cost us games. I don't put it all on him because I do kind of think that Frank Reich did do some things that could have been better with play calling and things like that. I feel like if they get the play out of him that we got out of him, or get him to be a little less conservative, I suppose. Open it up a little bit. You guys, I think they're going to be happy with him. Again,
it's an upgrade over what they've had, at least,
for
right?
sure. They went and went to the playoffs with Heineke. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, come on, man. Like, this team
gutsy kid, but not a talent.
That's right. And I mean, I think Carson Wentz is definitely an upgrade over him. Definitely.
So would you say, like, okay, so I thought his last year in Philly. You probably have a better perspective I do with his year at the Colts. I feel like he, at this point in his career, maybe tries too hard to prove what a great quarterback he is.
He's overthinking things.
And also maybe panics with pressure.
Yeah, I mean, I absolutely panics with pressure. I mean, yeah, it does seem like I said, man, I was not down on his turnover to touchdown ratio, interception to touchdown ratio, things like that. And he did fumble quite a bit even too. So I just feel like he doesn't take as much caution when it's important. Like hey, when you're getting rushed, now all of a sudden he rolls out of the pocket and just throws caution to the wind. He sprained both of his ankles on one play trying to make some kind of a play happen. You know what I mean? Just get rid of the ball, take a sack, learn how to do that. But it's more about like I said, the timing of it. Like, it just seems like he's conservative when you shouldn't be conservative, I feel like, and he's not conservative when he should. Is my opinion.
Well, I think the overall theme with him, my opinion of him, his last season with the Eagles and the season with you guys, is that he is lost something mentally.
I could definitely see that.
Like, whether it is confidence, or he's a bit shell-shocked from getting the injuries and getting hit.
Or a combination of both.
Combination of both. Or if he feels like he has to prove, maybe he feels like that was his Super Bowl, but he didn't have a chance to do it because of the injury, and now he has to prove that he's a Super Bowl winning quarterback because he had one taken from him in a way. Like, I could see there's something there mentally that wasn't. He's not the same guy when he first came into the league. Like, just from
he's not.
Mental makeup. There's something different there.
Yeah.
Whatever it is that's causing that, it's hard to know from the outside looking in. But I think that definitely affected him in his year with you guys, and it affected him at the end of his time with Philly. So, does Washington have a way to fix that? Does he have a way to fix that? Is being on his third team in 3 years like a wake-up call that makes him go, okay, I gotta refine myself and let this stuff go? I don't know. We'll talk about it when we get to the roster and the line. Like, I said, I think they've struggled with their line. I think they might still be struggling with their line. That doesn't seem like a good formula for Carson Wentz to me. But we'll talk about he's got some good weapons around him. So, I don't know.
Yeah, we'll see.
I think it'll be interesting. It'll be an interesting storyline to watch him. I thought it was interesting to watch him with you guys. It'll be interesting to watch him with Washington to see if he can get it back together. Because when he is right and he's playing at his maximum, he's a high-level quarterback.
He is. I mean, he is. Absolutely. All right, so let's see what they did to help him out here in the draft. Round 1, number 16, you got Jahan Dotson, wide receiver out of Penn State. A little bit of a smaller guy, right? Like, there's some questions on that.
Well, height-wise, but not build-wise.
Yeah.
Like, he's a great... I don't have questions about Jahan Dotson. I think he's going to be a fantastic wide receiver, especially he doesn't have to be the number one because we'll talk about it when we get there, but you have a number one already on this team. And so as a complimentary piece, he is fantastic.
Yeah, I would be happy.
Or I would expect him to be fantastic.
Yeah,
anyway.
I would be happy with this pick for sure. Round number 2, 47, Fidarian Matthews, defensive tackle out of Alabama, which is always a good defense.
Yeah, and I think him in particular, I liked him a lot. He was one of the guys that I wanted to mind the Bears taking in the second round. I kind of hoped for. I think he's going to fit right in with those guys that like to get sacks on this team. So.
Round 3, number 98, Brian Robinson Jr., running back out of Bama, double dipping out of Bama there.
So, really solid back. I think will be a nice compliment to your guy that is their starting running Gibson. That's their starting running back. He is a between the tackles, ground and pound type. I really like Robinson a lot. That's a solid pickup in the third round.
All right, round 4, number 113, Percy Butler, safety out of Louisiana.
Like the last name, don't know too much about him.
Yeah, don't know much about him either. Round 5, number 144, Sam Howell, quarterback out of North Carolina. Again, another one of these guys that had potential to go much higher in the draft, slipped as they all did, and I think that's the value that you should.
I think in the 5th round,
yeah.
I mean, at worst, he's going to be a good backup.
Right.
He might be a future starter. I think in the 5th round, that's a great pickup, honestly. I mean, even if they didn't trade for Carson Wentz, I think Sam Howell would have been an upgrade over what they had before.
It might be.
So when you talk about now they have 2 quarterbacks that are probably better than any quarterback you had last year, that's clearly been that's arguable, but I think that...
And, like we talked about with the line and with Carson Wentz and the way that he plays, man, it is quite possible
might need that backup quarterback in
this. So.
Yes, definitely.
Absolutely. All right, round 5, number 149, Cole Turner, tight end out of Nevada. I think this is great value here, round 5. I was pretty high on Cole Turner.
Cole Turner is not a run-blocking tight end. He is not. But he is he is a large wide receiver is what Cole Turner is. I actually had him on my college fantasy team. I watched a lot of their games. There were several times where I needed him to get some points for me late at night because that's when they usually play. And, man, I think Cole Turner has a phenomenal upside as a pass-catching tight end in the NFL.
Absolutely. Yeah, like I said, I'm high on him as well. I like him as well. Round 7, number 230, Chris Paul, guard out of Tulsa. Round 7, number 240, Christian Holmes, cornerback out of Oklahoma State. All right, that's it for the draft. Now let's go ahead and get into their starters. And obviously these are projected starters. Carson Wentz, quarterback, last year, 3,563 yards, 27 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, 215 rushing, and 1 touchdown from Indy, obviously. Like I said, I don't know.
And those are solid stats. Those are solid stats. That's an upgrade over. I think those are solid stats.
Could be worse. All right, Antonio Gibson, a guy I love out of Memphis. I watch Memphis football, and this has probably been my favorite player to come out of there. 1,037 yards, 7 touchdowns, 294 yards receiving, and another 3 touchdowns. I think he's going to benefit from having a better quarterback, and I think those numbers are going to definitely go up.
I mean, I could actually see the numbers going down, to be honest with you, just because I think Robinson is such a good young back that he might eat into some of those carries.
Okay.
But that might help Gibson be more... You might see less overall numbers, but better efficiency with those numbers because I think Robinson will be able to be a good complement to him.
Well, I'm very high on Antonio Gibson. Like I said, it was one of my favorite players coming out of Memphis, and I like this guy a lot.
Well, and if you think about those Panthers teams that Revere coached, they usually had 2 running backs that put up good numbers.
Sure.
So I think that's what you'll see, that 1-2 punch, and that's part of what Revere always had with Carolina was always 2 solid running backs. So I think that like I said, his numbers might go down as far as like number of carries, maybe more in the receiving game and less in the overall rushing.
I could definitely see that.
But be more efficient.
Which I would like to see. I would like to see him get more in the receiving game.
Yeah.
All right, and then you got wide receiver Terry McLaurin, 77 receptions, 1,052 yards, and 5 touchdowns. I absolutely love this guy. I liked watching him last year, and again, he's going to benefit from having a better quarterback. So
You would think so.
I would think so.
And he got paid.
And he got paid. Look, I feel like he was worth it, in my opinion. I think he's a damn good wide receiver. I like him a lot. All right, wide receiver Curtis Samuel. 6 receptions, 27 yards, but he did have a lot of injury problems. 5 games is all he actually played last year. Curtis Samuel was a very good receiver there over for Carolina before he came over, and I expect to see pretty good things out of him, especially with the tandem of him and McLaren and Dotson, who's coming up next. Dotson's rookie.
Yeah. I mean, it's possible that Dotson could kind of surpass him to become the number 2 guy. And then he's your number 3. That's a pretty good number 3.
Yeah.
I think all in all, that's a good three-headed monster at the receiver position.
I do. I think he's got a lot of weapons here.
Yeah.
I think he does. I really do. And then you had Logan Thomas, 18 receptions, 196 yards, and 3 touchdowns. He had only played in 6 games.
Yeah, he's had good seasons in the past, but getting a little long in the tooth.
Yeah.
And therefore, you bring in the kid from Nevada,
I think
who has a high upside.
Putting them together there in the field might be pretty damn good.
Yeah.
And, I like Logan Thomas. I think really even his stats even the year before were so really good. So,
yeah, he's been a pretty solid tight end for a while.
And in 6 games, you're talking 196 yards and 3 touchdowns in 6 games. I mean, he would have had some pretty damn good numbers there at the end.
Yeah, but I like Turner. I like Turner to push him.
Yeah, well, that's going to be good.
Maybe not his rookie year, but down the road, Turner's.
Well, yeah, here in the offense, I think I like this offense. I'm actually really high on the offense. I think that there are some questions here on the line. You got left tackle Charles Leno Jr.
Former Bear. He did not get it done for us. I think he's a good run blocker. I don't think he's a good pass blocker. I think that could be, to me, like we said, Wentz has a panic button. I think having Leno out there at left tackle might cause him to hit that panic button more than he needs to, but we'll see.
We'll see how that goes. Left guard Andrew Norwell, center Chase Rollier, and then right guard Wes Schweitzer, right tackle Sam Cosme. I could definitely see that being more of an issue for Wentz with having the line problems. I could definitely see that.
Yeah, and maybe their line is improving. I know Cosme is young, and he was pretty highly rated. I think he's out of Notre Dame, if I remember right. And people like him. So, but I just don't see, I don't think that's the strength of their team, let's put it that way. And that's a problem. I think that could be a problem for Wentz. So when we talk about, them competing for a playoff and that kind of thing, that could be the part that is an issue.
All right.
It won't be this part that you're about to start here. This will not be. As long as they stay healthy, this next part will not be an issue.
No. Defense starters. Left defensive end Chase Young, 26 tackles, 1.5 sack, 2 forced fumbles, 2 pass deflects. He did have injuries, and he only played 9 games. When healthy, that's ridiculous. A man amongst men out there in football. There is no doubt about that.
He's ridiculous. He really is.
Left defensive tackle Darren Payne, 61 tackles, 4.5 sacks, and 1 fumble recovery. And then right defensive tackle Jonathan Allen, 62 tackles, 9 sacks. Right defensive end Montez Sweat, 24 tackles, 5 sacks, 3 forced fumbles. Again, had injury problems. 10 games is all he played. Having Montez Sweat and Chase Young out both affected them greatly. These 2 players, especially together, have a great chemistry on the field, and I like watching them play. So I think that you're going to definitely see improvement there if they can stay healthy.
That rookie from Alabama will be part of that rotation with the interior part of that line. He's a sack guy. Like, he's capable of getting sacks too, being disruptive. And that is like you said, when healthy, that is a disruptive front 4.
Absolutely.
And that will keep you in ball games, having a disruptive front 4.
I love it.
That's a really fun team. Like, that aspect of this team is fun to watch, like you said.
It really is. All right. And linebacker Cole Holcomb, 142 tackles, 1 sack, 2 forced fumbles, 1 fumble recovery, 2 interceptions, 1 touchdown, and 7 pass deflects. The linebacker Jamin Davis, who was a rookie last year, 76 tackles, 1 sack, 1 pass deflect. David May, 28 tackles, 1 fumble recovery. Cole Holmgood's good. I think there's some weakness there, maybe a little bit at linebacker, for sure.
Well, especially compared to that front 4.
That's right.
But because of how good that front 4 is, you don't need the linebackers to be as
very
good.
True.
So
Very true. Then
Also helps with this next group too, having a front four like that.
absolutely. Cornerback Kendall Fuller, 77 tackles, 1 sack, 1 interception, 16 pass deflects. Strong safety Cameron Curl, 99 tackles, 1 sack, 1 fumble recovery, 5 pass deflects. Free safety Bobby McCain, 63 tackles, 4 interceptions, 1 touchdown, 9 pass deflects. Cornerback William Jackson III, 39 tackles, 2 interceptions, 8 pass deflects. And I think that's a very solid, back group, defensive back group.
It's a decent secondary. I don't know that it's a,
I'm saying solid.
Yeah. So I think Sal's accurate. And like I said, with the pass rush that they get, they don't have to be world beaters because that's the benefit of having that pass rush. So
let's get into this. I personally myself am pretty high on Washington. I think that again we talk about the line could be an issue there for sure, and if he breaks down while getting rushed, it's going to turn into a problem. But I feel like they have everything on that team to be able to make a playoff push, maybe even push to win that division. We'll have to see.
We'll see what happens with Dallas. I think Dallas is, on paper, the team that people expect to win the division. I never know what to expect from Dallas, so we'll talk about that when we get to Dallas's video. But I think if Dallas stumbles at all, this team is good enough to take the crown. Like we said, they weren't even they finished with a pretty good record last year considering what their offensive and defensive stats were. So if you improve on both sides of the ball there, if the defense stays healthy, it's going to get better than in the 20s. And with Wentz, I think their offense will get better too. So,
I felt like watching them the last couple of years. They've had everything put into place. All they needed was a quarterback. Again, I'm not sure that he's the greatest quarterback out there, but he's definitely good enough to lead a team like this to a playoffs. And, who knows? Who knows what? But definitely, there's a lot of upside, I think, there. And if I was a Commanders fan, I would be excited about the direction that they're going.
Yeah, so bringing it back to the whole concept of what these videos are is how did their offseason go? I think they had a solid offseason. The Wentz acquisition is a gamble, but it was a gamble worth taking, especially considering where their quarterback position was. And I think Howell in the 5th round is a nice... I think they did very well in their draft. I think he had a solid draft. Building through the draft, like you said, not a whole lot of going on in the free agency. This team has built through the draft the last 3 or 4 years now, and they have a collection of young talent. The thing they were missing was the quarterback, so they took a shot at the quarterback, and I think that was a shot worth taking. If it doesn't pan out, then we'll see what he can try to do next year. But if it does pan out, then this team is definitely competitive. So I think all in all, you asked me the question, what I think of the GM. Too early to tell, but signs are pointing towards the positive in my mind.
I think so too. I feel the same way. So, okay. Well, thank you for giving us a watch. And if you got anything out of this content, give us a like, give us a subscribe.
Go ahead and hit that comment section. We're all about the conversation. We will respond to you. Take a look at our Texans video. You'll see those guys had some things to say. We commented back. Fun exchange. We'd love to see that with all these videos that we do.
Are you as Commanders fans excited about Wentz? And that's something that I don't get to see a lot. I haven't seen a lot of comments on that. Do you think he's an upgrade, or are you concerned? Here's the thing: is you watch play against him in Philadelphia, so you get some kind of background against him as well. So, what's your thoughts on that?
And hey, I'd be really interested in the Commanders' idea about what we think their offensive line is not that good, and it's a weakness. Maybe they think it's different. Maybe Leno has drastically improved since he left the Bears, and I have a bad opinion of it, and I think it's a weakness that it's not. So if you don't think that's a weakness, let us know. If you agree with this as a weakness, let us know. That's what we're about, is the conversation. That's what makes this fun.
All right. Well, thank you for giving me a watch, and we look forward to seeing you again next time.
Thank you for giving me a watch, too.